I'm going to go out on a limb and say that time is, simply put, the single most important thing that you have. I'm also going to go out on a limb and tell you that what I wrote on the board behind me, this phrase time management, actually doesn't exist. Let's start with the first one. Time is the most important thing you have. You could take away your car, you could take away your house, someone could take away your 401k or your IRA, all of your savings, everything you own, and you could get it back. In fact, if you're an entrepreneur, you can get it back faster than you got it the first time around. But someone takes away just 1 minute of your time, you're never going to be able to get that back. The second thing is that time management doesn't even actually exist. There are 3 things you can manage. Number 1, you can manage your team. Number 2, you can manage the systems inside your life and your business. And number 3, you can manage yourself. Today, we're going to roll up our sleeves and talk about how you can get max value out of every single minute of every single day so that you can accomplish your mission and change the world. This is EdTalks Live. Welcome to the show. Hey there, it's Ed Rush. Welcome to EdTalks Live. Today, we are covering Productivity 401, fighter pilot tips to own your morning and dominate your day. By the way, if you just joined us, jump inside the chat on the right-hand side on YouTube Live, say hello, or below if you happen to be on Facebook. I'd love to hear your comments, and please tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do, and what you're doing while you're hanging out in the bunker in coronavirus land. Now, I'm going to take you back to a procedure that some of you have heard me talk about before. I'm going to do the short version of this, and I will tell you that there's one procedure that every fighter pilot knows. I don't care how long ago they flew their airplane or how many years ago it was that they even flew in a fighter jet. If you woke up in the middle of the night, a World War II veteran, and you told him to take his out-of-control flight procedure, he'd be able to do it by memory. In fact, if you took any pilot, it doesn't matter if they were World War II, Vietnam, Iraq, any of those wars along the way, if you ask him or her to do their out-of-control flight procedure, they would be able to do it from memory. In the F-18, the airplane that I flew 11 of my 13 years flying, wearing that helmet right there, the procedure, the out-of-control procedure goes like this: controls release, feet off rudder, speed brake in. If still out of control, throttles idle, altitude, AOA, airspeed, and yaw rate check. When recovery indicated by AOA and yaw rate tones removed, side forces subsided, airspeed accelerating above 180 knots, recover, passing 6,000 feet, AGL, dive recovery not initiated, eject. That is the out-of-control flight procedure. I haven't flown the F-18, by the way, since 2006, but it's still burned into my head. And the reason why is because when you're in an F-18, that's completely out of control. Now, most pilots never find themselves in an out-of-control F-18. I failed kindergarten, so I've done it twice, just a little above average on the out-of-control curve. When you're falling to the ground in an out-of-control airplane, like I was twice, you're typically falling to the ground at about 20,000 feet per minute. The last time I was in an out-of-control F-18, I was over the Sea of Japan, one of the most shark-infested waters on planet Earth. And when I found myself having gone through a dogfight, a training mission with one of my young students, I found myself in a completely out of control F-18. I was about 20,000 feet above the ground, in this case, above the sea, and I was falling to the ground at about 20,000 feet per minute. Now, in the F-18, we have a little procedures manual. It's a little book that sits next to us that we can open up and look through the procedures. So for example, if I have a flight control system problem, I can go through the checklist and go and do my flight control procedure. If I have, for example, an oil pressure problem, which I've had that emergency in the airplane, I can go through the procedure written in the checklist and execute my procedure. But in an out-of-control airplane, there's frankly no time to pull out a book and read it. You simply need to know and be able to execute the procedure by heart. Now, if you were doing the math, you heard me say that I was about 20,000 feet above the water, and I was falling to the ground at about 20,000 feet per minute. What that means, if you just do the math, is that I have about a minute. I have 60 seconds in that particular day to get my airplane and myself back under control. But if you were listening carefully to that procedure, the end of the procedure that I read to you says at 6,000 feet AGL, that stands for above ground level, it was mandatory for me to eject. So take 6,000 feet, subtract it by 20,000 feet, that's about 14,000 feet. Let's just round it just a little bit and say that I've got about 40 seconds. 40 seconds to get myself and my airplane back under control before together we plunge into the Sea of Japan, a young pilot and a very expensive airplane. 40 seconds to live. 40 seconds. 40 seconds left in your life unless you can fix the problem that's in the airplane. So let me tell you what I didn't do that day. On the way down towards the ocean, trying to get my airplane back under control, what I didn't do is check my Facebook messages. I didn't get distracted with some funny video that I happened to see come across the internet from Twitter. I didn't get a phone call and go, hey, airplane, I got to take this real quick. This is really important. Fundamentally, I had one thing to do. I didn't even have time to talk on the radio. All I simply had time to do was to get myself and my airplane back under control. Now, admittedly, that scenario that I just painted for you is a little bit on the extreme side. I'm going to make an application to you as an entrepreneur, getting more done, totally changing the world and dominating your day. And I'm using that extreme scenario to show you the importance of being able to work in an uninterrupted environment. Listen, I've written 5 books. All those books became best-selling books. And the last book I wrote, I went from idea to best-selling author in less than 21 days. In fact, it was 20 days that book hit the bestseller charts in its category on Amazon. You can't write a 200-page book unless you understand how to focus. And so today, we're going to first talk about how time management doesn't even exist. We're going to actually talk about the concept of productivity, how to get more done in less time with less waste, finally allowing yourself the freedom to enjoy life. And then I'm going to have a short segment at the end of today where I take your questions. Now, before I do that, if you just joined us, my name is Ed Rush. Today, we are covering Productivity 401. I just decided to make it the most advanced college class you could take, okay? Fighter pilot tips to own your morning and dominate your day. Now, if you just joined me, please jump in on the right-hand side, say hello in chat on YouTube or underneath you in the comment section on Facebook. Now, I want to say hello to some of our friends, most notably Dennis Bauer, who was on. I usually check in about 30 minutes before inside the broadcast console to make sure that everything's set up. Dennis already had his comment in there. He said 5:35 a.m. today, Ed, Bible, prayer, journal, book chapter, final edits, getting a new clock, day 3 on a productivity roll. So the inside baseball on that comment, I have a course called the 21-Day Time Freedom Miracle. You hang with me. I'm going to give you a really good deal on it if you're just joining us. And what I said to Dennis was a new clock. And now that's implementation, because on day 3, I talk about a super easy to implement productivity tool about the way you dress your office up. So I thought that was pretty cool. Barry says, good morning, Professor Rush. Up at 4:45, working the 21-Day Time Freedom Miracle, same product that I was just talking about, by the way. Wendell Bugs, Houston, Texas, better, stronger, faster, and smarter. I love it. So I've been saying during our show, EdTalks Live, your goal while you're sitting in the pandemic bunker is to get better, faster, and stronger so that when we see the light of day, we can go take over the world. Delisa Tool, good morning. Terry Gingerass, good to see you, buddy. Jim Butts, I love this. The time is the most valuable thing you can control. You got that right. David Zetz, no such thing as time management. This is strange. I wrote it on the board. I'm going to explain why I did that in a second. Good morning. Hello, Silly. Good to see you from Tucson. Matt, welcome to the show. Josh, awesome to see you from Spokane, Washington. My man. Hello, Diana Lovejoy. Gardens are magical places to keep grounded in these challenging times. In fact, my family right now is doing homeschool. Right on the other side of that wall, we have our beautiful organic garden, and they're schooling right inside the garden right now, which is very cool. Thank you for that. Diana, I was thinking this morning, I was looking forward to seeing you on the show because I thought you have the best last name. What a great name. Lovejoy. I mean, for an organic gardener too. What a great name. I think maybe Rush is a good name for somebody who's teaching productivity, but yours is a good name for organic gardening. I love it. Good morning, Aubrey. Good to see you as well. Sally, welcome, John Teague. Robert, Edwin says, In situations like by the way, I don't even read these comments before I click them. So in a situation like you're in with only 40 seconds to save your life, men even stop thinking about sex. Robert, you rock. Have a clock on every wall. I'm just studying to rock, dude. Jordan, hey, what's up, man? That's a fighter pilot outfit right there, man. I love it. Cherie, good to see you in Yorktown, Virginia. All right, so today we are going to roll up our sleeves and flat out get your time management on. I opened the show with a story of my out of control flight experience in the F-18 and how that significantly impacted the way I look at time. Now, I have 4 kids, 14, 13, 11, and 1-year-old. I do know what causes that, by the way. And a lot of the reason I've learned to effectively use my time is because of them. I mean, think about this. You don't want to, if you have kids, you don't want to spend all of your time slaving over your computer and work. I mean, my goal when I left the Marine Corps was that my home life wasn't going to be dominated anymore by an empty chair at the dinner table. And so some of you remember 2 days ago on a prior EdTalks discussion about how to dominate your morning, I talked about how I draw very clean lines and build my business around my life and not the other way around. And I'm going to give you some tools. Today, I'm going to talk in 3 categories. The first one is going to be dominating your weekly routine. The second one is going to be dominating your daily routine. And then finally, dominating your morning routine. And if you were with me just a few days ago, we're going to go deeper into each of these concepts. Now, some of you have taken advantage of a special offer that I gave you just a few days ago for my productivity system, my productivity course. That course sells online for $597. That's $597. But I did a special for you because we're all stuck in our bunkers. I thought, man, what a great time to learn. And that special is actually going into chat right now. Here it is, by the way. It's edrush.com/21day. That's the website. And the coupon code there is the word freedom. So that coupon code turns a $597 course into a $197 course. And all I ask is 5 minutes a day. You get up, watch the video, and implement it. And some of you in chat are already talking about your implementation items. That's the inside story of what they're talking about. So by the way, website, edrush.com/21day. That's going to chat right now. Coupon code is freedom. All right, so let's talk about how you can dominate your day. Do you ever look at some of the most successful people in the world and wonder how in heaven's name do they get all of that done? I mean, they've got social media stuff and they've got podcasts and they've got videos going out. They do events. You're like, how does that person, what do they even sleep? You know? And the secret to what I just shared with you, when you look at super successful people and you're like, how do they get so much done? And then you look sometimes at yourself and you're like, man, how am I getting so little done? Part of the secret is in the 3 things that I just told you about. So remember when I said there's no such thing as time management? I'm going to be unpacking one of the tightest secrets to success in just a moment. Now, as I do that, please do say hello in chat and make sure that you greet each other and encourage each other as we're going. I will be taking questions at the end of today's show, so hang on for that as well. Okay, so let's get cranking. I'm going to jump up onto the board and we are going to get started. Now, you remember that I said this right here. There is no such thing as time management. So in a moment, I'm going to erase that and we're going to talk about the things that you actually can manage in your life and in your business. All right. So if you just joined us, my name is Ed Rush. Today, we are talking about Productivity 401, fighter pilot tips to own your morning and dominate your day. And I started with a shocking revelation. And that shocking revelation was that there is no such thing as time management. Now, it's kind of funny, right? Because people who talk about productivity use that term time management quite a bit. So what I'm going to tell you may initially shock you, but when you actually begin to implement it, it's going to change your life. So if there's no such thing as time management, what can you do? Well, actually, there are 3 things that you can manage. Time happens to be not one of them. Here's the reason why, by the way. Time is moving forward. So for example, right now, we're on a show that airs every morning at 10 o'clock Pacific and 1 o'clock Eastern. This show typically goes for about 50 minutes and we do some question and hang out a little bit at the end. But that show time is moving forward at about 60 seconds every single minute. In fact, you and I are rushing towards our ultimate end at exactly 60 minutes per hour, okay? There's nothing you can do to slow time down. There's nothing you can do to speed it up. Now, there are some things you can do with your mind to slow your mind down or maybe to speed your mind up. But as far as time goes, it's moving forward basically at the same rate no matter what you do. I know you could take, someone and put them in a spaceship and move at the speed of sound, and maybe they're going to age a little bit slower over the time of somebody in the Earth. I know some of you quantum physicists are jumping in to tell me about that, but we're talking about planet Earth right now and how we operate here. So there's actually only 3 things that you can manage in your life and in your business. Now, the first thing are people. And I'm not going to go too deep into this, but I will tell you that there are people in your life that are here to help you. And there's people in your life that aren't, okay? So if you read my book, 21 Day Miracle, which I think I've got it over here someplace, you'll remember there's a section in this book called the 21 Day Relationship Miracle, where inside of that chapter, I tell you to rate everyone in your life 1, 2, and 3, and I tell you what to do with the people who are 1s and 2s and 3s, okay? You're looking for the kind of people that can help you accomplish the mission. Now, what you're looking for are people whose mission also is accomplished when they help you accomplish your mission. So, for example, some of you have said hello to Delisa, who is in chat right now saying hello to everybody. Delisa is my #1 project manager. She runs everything that happens in my business. Well, it just so happens that helping me accomplish the mission that I'm going to try to accomplish is also helping her accomplish the mission that she is trying to accomplish. So the first and most important thing that you're going to manage as you manage your time, okay, or your productivity are people, okay? And when I talk about this, the first thing is what I said is the most important thing, which is your mission. Now, I had somebody once come up to me at an event. By the way, this is somebody who knew me really well, was a coaching client, and she said, "Why does everybody's life have to revolve around your mission?" I'm like, actually, everyone's life revolves around my mission as much as my life revolves around everyone else's mission. Because, see, God has put something on your heart. God has given you something to do in this world. In fact, you were born with a mission to accomplish right here on planet Earth. And if you accomplish your mission, it makes it easier for me to accomplish my mission. Because, look, neither one of us has the same goals in the mission or dream or anything like that. We're all going in different directions, but we're all trying to accomplish the same mission. My theory, and I'm writing a book about this, by the way, my theory is that 80 to 90% of the people in the world are, for some reason, completely off the mission that they were created. And it may be a higher number, sadly. I mean, maybe it was their upbringing and their parents who didn't understand what God had put on their heart that sent them off into a different direction, or maybe it was a college professor or a mentor in high school. But one way or another, most of the people that I know are not moving forward to accomplish the thing that they've been given to do on planet Earth. That's why one of the very first things I do when I work one-on-one with an entrepreneur is I get clear on that. I'll have people that come into the office and they'll start talking about something they're doing in business, and you would think they're about to fall asleep, okay, by the way they're talking about it. And then I'll ask them about some other things that they're doing, and all of a sudden they'll get really excited about this one thing, like helping kids or whatever it is, that the thing that really, really jazzes them up. And I'm like, that's the thing you need to be doing, man. You need to be focusing on the thing that makes you super excited. So one of the very first things you can do is figure out the mission that you are put on planet Earth to do, okay? Then what you do is you bring people around you who are also clear on their mission, because if they're clear on their mission, they're going to be helping you accomplish your mission, because them helping you accomplish your mission is helping them accomplish their mission. All right. So the first thing is how you manage people. I can tell you that, like, an open door policy is not the best way to manage people, right? You have people who know what they need to do, and then they execute it. Okay. The second thing that you can manage are systems. Now, I don't have time to go deep into this discussion. There is a deeper discussion inside of the 21-day time freedom miracle. But when I talk about systems, there are 2 kinds of systems inside of a great business. There are systems that are run by robots, and then there are systems that are run by people, right? So for example, when you go to my website, edrush.com, and you put your name and your email inside of that website, that system automatically delivers you a series of training emails that you signed up for. That was written and coded and developed by myself and some team members quite some time ago, and then it automatically happens. And so when I talk about robots, what I mean is there are systems that are automated that create certain things that happen inside of my businesses. But you know what? There's also systems that are run by people. So for example, this particular show, EdTalks, at the end of the show, typically what I'll do is I'll find 5 to 7 short clips that I think are the best of the show. And my team will take those clips, 3 to 5 minute long, sometimes up to 7 minutes long. They'll take those clips, they'll put a bumper on the front, they'll put a bumper on the back, and they'll edit the clip, and then we'll start using it on Instagram and on Facebook and on LinkedIn. In other words, each show carries a lot more content along with it. And if, for example, 300, 400, 500 people watch a certain episode, I'll get 2 or 3 times that viewership on the social media platforms from those clips. Now, some of that is being done by people and some of that is being done by robots, but it's all being done in a systematic fashion that really requires very little of me, because one of my missions in life isn't to edit video, okay? So the third thing that you can manage, and perhaps the most important thing that you can manage, is you. It's how you approach the time of your day. So for example, I'll meet entrepreneurs who just say, look, I don't know how you find time to read. I don't have any time to read. Well, you know what? If you manage yourself properly, you're gonna have time to read. I spent over the last 21 days, actually Friday will be 21 days, so 19 days. Every single morning, I've woken up at 5:58, 5:59, and I spend the first hour of my day in reading, in prayer, in Bible reading, and in meditation. First hour of every single day for 21 days. Well, the reason I was able to do that is because I create systems around my life. Now, I don't do that every single day of every year, but for a short period of times, I do that. At night, typically, before I go to bed, I'll spend the last 30 minutes reading something that I want to read to put into my brain before I go to bed that evening and do it. That's a system around me. So any of the things that you wish that you could do, fitness, relationships, reading more, studying more, you can. It's just a matter of creating systems around yourself. So for example, one of the first things I'll do when I'm helping an entrepreneur with their productivity is I'll have them schedule something that I call PDT. That's personal development time. Most entrepreneurs don't schedule time for themselves to grow. Right now, I'm working on learning and understanding online advertising on Instagram and also on YouTube. So for about 30 minutes a day, I'm going to talk about this in a moment. For about 30 minutes a day, every day, I've set aside time so that I can learn that. If I didn't set the time aside, it flat out wouldn't happen, okay? So the first thing when we're talking about time management is there's no such thing as time management. There's only you managing people, systems, and you. Okay, so that's the first thing that I wanted to cover today. By the way, if you just joined us, my name's Ed Rush. This is Productivity 401, Productivity, or Fighter Pilot Tips to Own Your Morning and Dominate Your Day. Some of you noticed this. With number exclamation point best-selling author. Yes, that's right. I am an exclamation author. I love typos, man. It's hysterical. All right, I just want to catch up and chat. Waiting to start Monday, as you suggest in the course. Oh, Jim Butts took my recommendation. In each of my online courses, there's a button that says start here. I'm laughing because we have, I can actually see when people go through the course, I can see which modules you did and which ones you didn't. And like over half of the people that get into the course start with something other than the button that says start here, which I think is good. So Jim did it. I love it. That's good. Nabi Kleiman, what's up, buddy? Ed for Prez. He always puts that in his thing. I started the course with yesterday, so Monday will be the rest day, day one. Okay, good to go. Congratulations to all of you who got started. Hello, Judy Carrico. Good to see you. All right, so by the way, I'm going to be taking your questions in about just a little bit. So let's get into the second of what I have prepared for you today. And as usual, I'm already off my notes. So what I just did, some of you know that this is where I put my notes for the show each day. It's sitting underneath my thing. And the segment that I just did isn't even there. So last time I did productivity, I said, hey, we might have a part 2. We might even have a part 3. We'll see what happens. But I promised you that we're going to talk about weekly, daily, and morning routine. So I'm going to get there, and we're going to start right now with weekly routine. I'm going to make this second part quick, okay? So let's get cranking. Okay. So if you just joined us, my name is Ed Rush. This is Productivity 401, fighter pilot tips to own your morning and dominate your day. We're going to start now by discussing how to dominate your weekly routine. Okay, so let's start on the week. Now, if you watched the previous show, you'll know that I have a theory around two words, the sprint and the rest, okay? Now, the sprint is a lot of what I talk about. So for example, in the book, 21 Day Miracle, I talk quite a bit about the sprint part. In other words, the part where you get a lot done in a short period of time and accomplish big goals over time by putting together strategic sprints. What I don't talk a lot about in the book is the concept of rest. But if you look, basically everything in nature from teens to tomatoes operates on the principle of sprint and rest. If you want to go a little deeper on that, I do have a video training available for you. It's at edrush.com. It's totally free, by the way, edrush.com/rest. Okay, so when you go there, you can see me talk a little bit deeper about the concept of that today. This isn't the topic. What I can tell you, though, is unlike most productivity courses that you've ever taken or productivity time management coaches that you've listened to, I differ from all of them in the sense that what you learn from most of the productivity time management people, it can be summarized as this: go, 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 go. And then all of a sudden, after a few weeks of implementing whatever the system is that they taught you, you are out of breath, okay? And you feel like you failed, but you didn't. Remember that we were designed to sprint and rest, just like everything in nature. And the truth is that's the same for you when it comes to productivity and time management, okay? So I want to be clear about the fact that what I'm teaching you today isn't go, 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 go. It's sprint and rest, okay? Now, the second principle that I alluded to on my discussion 2 shows ago was the concept of block days. Now, most business owners' approach to productivity goes something like this: open up your inbox, open up social media, and just see what happens, okay? And the challenge with that is it's a signal to the world. The moment, for example, I'll do live events, and I'll tell the folks in my event, I'll say, hey, look, we don't get internet. I don't get internet at my events because you don't need it, okay? You need to be focused on the teaching. But I tell the folks at my event, I say, look, the moment you open up your email, a lot of times it's on your phone, right? And by the way, if your email's on your phone, you are out of your mind, okay? So I don't even have time to go into that. So the moment you open up your email, the signal to the world that you're saying is this: send me your emergency. Send it my way. I'm ready for your world emergency, okay? And I will go 2, 3, sometimes up to 7 days without checking my email. Some of you have sent me an email and you got an email from me 7 or 8 days later. The reason why is I probably didn't see that email until about 4 or 5 days, because there's full days where I'm completely off email. In fact, I went once, 21 days completely disconnected from any media. I actually sent my phone to my assistant for 3 weeks, okay? Went up to the mountains in Colorado and essentially just disappeared, okay? So I'm just here to tell you, at the time, I was managing and running several businesses, and I came back and they were fine. They were totally fine, okay? So the first thing to know when it comes to blocking time is that the last thing you'll ever want to do is start your day by opening your email or opening social media. Again, that's telling the world, you tell me what to think today, okay? So typically, what I will do when I set up my week is I will create a week that facilitates what I'm trying to accomplish. Now, for me, this is for me, okay? This isn't for everyone, this is for me. My mornings are my most productive time. So like 8:30, 9 in the morning, I'm right in the zone, right? I got a little workout in it. I got some breakfast, like I'm feeling good, right? So morning is pretty good for me. Afternoons, start to slow down. Late afternoons is when I really start to slow down. So for example, when I was writing 21 Day Miracle, I would start at like 9 in the morning and I would write for like 4 straight hours, take little breaks here in between till about 1 in the afternoon. And then at that point, I'd finally open my email. Once my brain was kind of done with like the hard work for the day, then I would do the easy work, which was my email. Okay. So when I set my days up, I set my days up with an understanding of how I operate. Now, I'm not telling you to do your best work in the morning because everyone's different. I know some people that really kick into gear about 8 at night. Okay. Look, if that's you, put your best stuff at 8 at night. Like, I'm serious. I know people who at 8 or 9, they come alive like when the sun goes down, and then they create some of their best stuff until 2 in the morning, and then they sleep in until noon. The productivity guru coaches, the time management guru coaches have spent their entire time vilifying those people. But you know what? Everyone's made different. Everyone's made differently. I'm working on my adverbs, by the way. So everyone's made differently. Okay. So if you're a night person, then you're a night person. You know, if you're a morning person, you're a morning person. Do the things that work best for you. Okay. For me, my most productive time is typically in the morning, mid-morning, all the way up until lunch. So that's the time that I'm usually have nothing on my calendar because I would like to be able to get as much done during that time as I possibly can. That's why typically, if I'm going to do calls, I will block them all into a Monday afternoon, say from 2:30 to something like 4:30, because typically I'm done at about 5. Okay. And by the way, you're about to find out in a moment why I stop at 4:30, not 5. The end of my days at 5, but my calls go to 4:30. Okay. So I like blocking things together. The second thing that I'll block together, for example, is content creation. So if I know I've got, for example, 4 articles to write on a Wednesday morning, I might block out 9 to 11. Boom, 2 hours. Nobody can schedule over that time. 2 hours to only sit there and create content. If I schedule it, it never gets interfered with. And then once 9 starts, phones off, emails off, boom, right into content. Okay. Now, the last thing I'll talk to you about blocking days is typically I like to bring into each week one focus area. Okay. So for example, there's one focus area that most business owners completely ignore, but should be the most important thing that you think about, which is getting new leads and getting new customers. So I'll typically ask one of my clients, I'll say, how much of your time per week do you spend dedicated to getting new leads and to getting new customers? And on average, the answer that I get back initially from people that I'm working with turns into about 7% when we start running the hours. Think about that for a minute. Leads and customers are the reason that your business is still alive. You know, it's the reason that you actually have revenue coming in. It should be by the way, about 80% of your activity. And so what I'll do a lot of times is I'll bring a focus area into the week. For example, right now I'm focusing on getting leads. That's the main focus I've given my entire team. Our goal is to build our email list by 10,000 qualified leads over a 2-month period of time. So the focus is on leads. So if that's your focus, then when you come into your blocks, that means each day you need a dedicated block of at least 30 minutes up to an hour dedicated towards whatever your focus area is that particular week. Okay. So just some thoughts on how to dominate your week. Now I'm going to jump back into chat and say hello to a couple folks real quick. And then Nobby, crack me up, man. Thank you for that. David Zetz, 21-day time freedom miracle scheduled to start Monday. The sheer anticipation has already helped my productivity. What's up with that? I like it. Judy says, definitely looking forward to going through the program. You guys are awesome, man. I'm good to go at 3 a.m. and flow through the day with a snooze. Good. That's exactly right. Someone asked, by the way, about napping. I love it. A nice little mid-afternoon kind of nap. All right. So, and if you just joined us, by the way, the course that everyone's talking about 2 days ago, I gave a discount, a huge discount, $400 discount. The course is below. It's edrush.com/21day. And I decided to extend that discount to today. Okay. So the next 5 of you, because you might have just joined me and you didn't see the prior show, the next 5 are going to get access to this course. Let me show you really quickly the website. Hang on. So I'm going to pull up my screen and then I'm going to get into dominating your day and then dominating your morning. So the screen that you see right on the screen right here is the website. So you go to edrush.com/21day. And then, oh, by the way, I want to tell you this. See this button at the top? Some of you have been asking, how can I join the live show? This is a really quick and easy button. Every day you can go to edrush.com just to get on the live show. See that? Just takes you right there. right? So anyway, cool little bonus for you. So 21-day time freedom. This is my definitive course on how to get more done in less time. You click this little $597 button, which is the normal price, and you put in the word freedom. So what happens? See that? It takes $400 off, and it makes the course $197, which is like a total no-brainer. Okay, so edrush.com/21day. And I had so many people take advantage of that on Monday, I decided just to extend it. Okay, so you all are awesome. And thank you for that. And it's going to change your life when you implement it. And look, $197. If you're a six-figure entrepreneur, if you're making $100,000, check this out. If your goal is to make $100,000, you have about 2,000 hours per year. So if you take 40 hours a week, 50 weeks. So if you divide that, each hour for you is worth $50. So all you need to do is get back 4 hours of your time for the $200 course to be worth it for you. If this is $1 million, if your number's $1 million, this is $500. That means all I need to do is help you get back about 20 minutes of your time in the course, and you got your money back. Okay, so that makes $197 the most no-brainer decision that you've ever had to make in your entire life. So grab that copy of that right now. I know most of you already did. Okay, so let's jump into a weekly routine and then into, let me see what you just said. Yes, Dennis said 90% of my speaking business is business. 90% of that is lead gen. And for those professional speakers, you'll know that 90 to 95% of your business isn't you speaking. It's everything that happens behind that. And when you come to Ultimate Speaker, when we do Ultimate Speaker, you'll see that what I'm going to teach you is a business system, not a speaking system. I'm going to teach you a speaking system, but a business system. Thank you, Edwin. Your analysis of how to use time, including sprint and rest, is brilliant. Thank you for that, dude. I appreciate it. All right, so let's get cranking. Here we go. If you just joined us, my name is Ed Rush. This is Productivity 401, Fighter Pilot Tips to own your morning and dominate your day. We just did a discussion of weekly routine. Now we're going to talk quickly about how to dominate your daily routine. Okay, so grab a pen, write some of this stuff down because I'm going to move super fast through the daily discussion. All right, so 2 shows ago, I don't have time to go deep on this again. 2 shows ago, I talked about a technique that I use at the end of the day called squeezing the sponge. Okay, this is where you get every idea out of your subconscious mind and put it on paper. And then I talked about how you start your day with the task list that you found the day before. Okay, so I'm going to talk quickly about what to do with that. Some of you remember I had a technique, okay, that I teach deeper in the course that I just said, where that involves scripting, much like you would, if you're writing a movie, you would write a script. Well, I have a script for my day, and just so you know, one of the great benefits of having a nice little script for your day is that sometimes you're feeling like great. You're like, man, I'm just gonna conquer the world today, and you get a lot done. And then some other days you wake up like, remember Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh? Remember Eeyore, where Eeyore's like, life is hard, everything's horrible. Like sometimes you feel like that. To be honest, this morning I was kind of feeling like that a little bit. I'm like, oh man, my workout beat me up, and it wasn't even that hard. Okay, and I was like, gosh, man, why am I having so? It was just one of those days. My wife, my beautiful, amazing wife, she's like, can I make you breakfast? I'm like, I don't need to eat. She made me breakfast, she made me breakfast. Thank you. So on a day like that, where you're not feeling so great, a script is amazing. Because you know what? You just do it. And then you actually have a productive day, even though you felt kind of like crap. Okay. Now, I want to talk about a technique that I use that's called priming the pump. All right. So I discovered priming the pump primarily and first when I started writing books. Okay. Anybody who's ever written a book knows this feeling. You open up a Word document and you write something at the top, and the thing is like your working title, my book, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna write this book. I'm gonna write this book. book's gonna be great. Okay. And then you stare at this blank Word document and you're like, I want to start this. I don't know how to start it, but it's gonna be great. This book, when I write it, it's gonna be great. And then you still stare at this blank Word document and you're like, all right, this book's gonna be great, but I gotta write some words. And you're like, if you've ever wondered, how, no, back. And then you start editing those words. And by the end of the first page, you feel like the worst author on planet Earth. So 80% of the United States, when surveyed by Gallup, recently said that they want to write a book. Every single year, there's roughly 500,000 books published in the United States. That is less than a percentage point of the people, 500,000, 500,000, yeah, same thing. That's less than a percentage point of the people in the United States. In other words, 79% of the people in the United States say they want to write a book, but they never do. And part of the reason they never do is because of the blank Word document. Okay, so I created a system that I talk about deeper. There is a blog post called How I Wrote a 288-page book in 7 days and how you can too. So I'm not going to go fully into that system. That resource is totally free and available to you. What I will tell you is that my priming the pump system works like this. Let's say I'm going to write, okay? One of the very first things that I will do is get myself into state. Usually that involves a short meditation where I'm just imagining, not my book, but I'm actually imagining my customer. I'm sitting there imagining my ideal, perfect customer for this book, the person who's going to be reading that. And I spend 10 or 20 minutes thinking through their wants and their needs and all the frustrations they have and everything that they want and haven't gotten in their life. I'm thinking about that person. So I spend about 10 or 20 minutes doing that. And then what I do is I read something. And usually what I'm reading is just good writing. Okay, for example, right now I'm reading a book called The Book Thief. It's a fiction book. One of the most cleverly written books I've ever read. So if I was writing a book right now, I would sit for 10 or 20 minutes and I'd read The Book Thief. Now, I'm not reading it for comprehension. I'm reading it for flow, because when you're reading a book, you're training your mind to go through content. And then you sit down at your computer and you're like, ding, and it all works perfectly well. Okay. So this system for priming the pump works for anything, right? So for example, let's say you want to create some videos, you want to get on camera and create some videos so that you can help people in your marketplace. A lot of business owners get on the video camera and they're like, hi, my name's Ed. I'm a fighter pilot. This is going to be awesome. Okay. And it's hard to get the video actually created. So one of the things you can do is sit for a little bit, think about your customer, then watch some videos, then write your video out and do it. Okay. It's just a technique called priming the pump. Again, we take it writing. You could take it in terms of lead generation, right? Let's say you're like, gosh, I don't even know where to start on social media. Think about your customer a little bit and then get online and watch some people talking about how to get in front of their customer. Like yesterday, we did a show with Marquetta Breslin. She talked about some Instagram hacks. I'll tell you, I implemented those yesterday. And sure enough, my first post, remember she said, location service, put a location and put tags. My first post, tags, location, and I got 7 new people, just 7, but still it's 7 people. 5 of them came from the location, 2 from the tags, according to my insights on Instagram. That's what I'm talking about in terms of priming the pump. So one of the most important things you can do in your daily routine is create something in your day to get you started, okay? So that's the daily side. Now, I'm gonna catch back up really quickly. Y'all didn't say anything in chat. That's great. Sometimes, by the way, if you do live streams, sometimes nothing in chat is good sign because people are paying attention. Okay, so, all right, so let's just do this last part and then I'm gonna take your questions. I'm gonna be hitting questions in about 6 minutes. So if you have questions, go ahead and put those into chat, just format it in with the word question. And if you're watching this on video, you're watching it on replay, put the question down in the comment section because that way my team or I can get in and even answer your question, okay? So we just covered daily routine, all right? Now, last thing I'm gonna do quickly is morning routine. If you watched the show 2 days ago, you'll remember I did the same thing. Weekly, daily, morning. I just talked about a little bit of a different stuff. Some of you asked for this. This is, hang on. There's the website, edrush.com/21day. Coupon code is freedom. All right, so I got about 4 minutes left. Rock Creek, baby. Come on. It's a Rock Creek coffee. I got this shit. My man. By the way, he's right, by the way. The reason why you watch stuff like this is because when you're done, look, these shows are about an hour, okay? That's an investment of your time. But my thought is, and my suspicion is that, let's say you're on the West Coast with me at 10 o'clock in the morning. You get done at 11. My suspicion is from 11 to 5, you're more powerful in that period of time than you would have if you had used this hour for something else. Okay, and that's my goal for the show. Thanks, dude. I appreciate that. It's very nice of you, David. All right, again, I'm going to be taking your questions in just a second. All right, so if you just joined us, my name is Ed Rush. This is Productivity 401, fighter pilot tips to dominate your morning, to own your morning and dominate your day. We just did weekly routine and daily routine. I'm going to hit finally some morning routine tips, and then we're going to take your questions. All right, so this is EdTalks, by the way, EdTalks Live, the most positive place on the planet for insanely implementable ideas. Now, on the show 2 days ago, I said that you have two options when it comes to the morning. Most people who teach productivity time management, the whole system is this: wake up like really early, okay? And for some people that works, and for some people that doesn't work. And you know what? There's times when, for example, there's times when my body and my brain need a refresh. You know, I'll do events where I'll do like 3, 4, 5, 6 days all in a row. I'm not going to come home and wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to come home and wake up at like 9, like 9:30. I'm going to ease into a few days just to let myself recover. Okay. So option one is to wake up at the same time every day. You'll know that's kicking in when you're on the weekends, when you don't even have the alarm set. You wake up at like 6:30. And option two is whenever you wake up. And I'm telling you, nobody teaches that. And I'm going to go back to that next week, by the way. Some of you have been tracking. I've been doing 5:59 for the last 21 days. Next week, I'm going to go back to whenever I wake up, okay, and just see how my body responds to that. Now, the second thing I taught, just by way of review, is your mission, though. The first thing you have to do every morning, no matter what, is wake up with gratitude. So just wake up, say thank you for something, and then start your day, okay? So the third thing is to, so the first thing was you wake up, one of the two options. Second thing is gratitude. The third thing, okay, is to do something in the very first part of your day to get your body and your mind in gear. Okay, so this for me is usually before breakfast. Now, I'm not giving you dieting advice, nor am I giving you nutrition advice. Everyone is different. So for example, it's been really popular right now for people to do what's called intermittent fasting. If you've been around the fitness world for like at all in the last 2 years, you'll know that that has been a really big thing in the fitness world. It's called intermittent fasting. You know what it actually really is? It's skipping breakfast, okay? It's crazy. They got a new name, but people have been skipping breakfast for like thousands of years, and all the fitness people are like, I got this new thing. It's called intermittent fasting. It's so cool. It's so revolutionary and new. I'm like, wait, isn't it just like skipping breakfast? Yes, it's skipping breakfast, okay? I tried intermittent fasting. I tried skipping breakfast. That did not work for me. It didn't work, okay? Look, by the time I got to the middle of the day, my adrenals were just like, it wasn't a good fit for my body, okay? So what I'm going to tell you is everyone's different. Everyone's mind works differently. Everyone's body works differently. Some people, you need to wake up and have some juice first thing in the morning. Some of you got to get your coffee first thing in the morning. Some right to breakfast. Some of you can wait 2 or 3 hours for breakfast. Everyone's different. What I will tell you is that your job in the morning, no matter what, as an entrepreneur, is first thing, or kind of in the first area, is to do something to prime your body and your mind, okay? So it can be any of the things that I'm about to talk about, but I would suggest that you try a few of these and see what works best for you in the morning, okay? So I already talked about thankfulness, so I'm going to move past that. So for example, one of the things that I like to do in the morning is a meditation. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, sometimes I'll do up to 45 minutes of meditation. That's a way for me to prime my mind. Now, it also effectively works to help me prime my body, okay? Another technique that I've used are some simple breathing exercises first thing in the morning. I've done, for example, the Wim Hof method of breathing, which is 3 cycles of essentially filling up your body with oxygen, holding your breath, and you do that. It takes about 6 minutes to do all 3 cycles. Okay, so the technique that I used to be called, or the technique that I used to use was called Wim Hof. The one that I've been using recently is a technique called box breathing. 5 seconds in, 5-second hold, 5 seconds out, 5-second hold. And I would do that 5 seconds for 5 minutes. And man, after 5 minutes of just focusing on disciplined breathing, you feel pretty good. Okay, so meditate, breathe, move. For about 3 weeks last year, I woke up in the morning, went for an hour walk. First thing, no matter how I felt, just start to move. Recently, what I've been doing, if you've been following me, is I've been waking up, and at least 30 minutes a day in the first hour, I do either kettlebells or yoga. All right. Look, I'm not good at yoga, so don't look at me like I look like a dancing bear, okay, doing yoga. So move somehow, okay, and then eat. And I would suggest to you, you know how people say like breakfast is the most important meal of the day? Well, all the meals are the most important meal of the day, but I would suggest to you that at the very least, understand your body well enough to know how it responds. My body does not respond great to gluten, okay? So I love it. I love pizza, and oh man, I love it. I love a big sandwich, but in the morning, it's usually eggs for me, some kind of fruit, some sort of protein sitting next to it, like sausage with some eggs and some blueberries is my thing. Now, everyone's different. Pancakes might be your rock and roll, okay? So my suggestion is first thing in the morning is to find a way to prime your body and your mind. And then you can get into the rest of your day and you can totally crush it, okay? Last thing I'll tell you when it comes to the morning is liquids are massively important, okay? Most people don't drink enough water. I drink about 5 of these, sometimes 6 of these a day. First thing in the morning, 1 of these goes down, okay? Your body needs this stuff right here. And one of the reasons why people's colon and their digestive system begins to break down as you get older is because of water. Very, very simple. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. But you know what? Most doctors have no idea what they're talking about. Okay, so I probably shouldn't say that. It's probably get me in trouble. All right, so I'm going to come back to the main screen real quick. I'm going to take your questions, and we are going to wrap up today's show. So, man, I had fun today. I hope you had a good time. I certainly did. Let me see if there's any questions sitting inside of chat, and we'll knock these out, and then we're going to wrap it up for today. David Zetz says, that's why everybody needs a fitness coach. Just saying. It'll change your life. You're probably right about that, dude. So at Coach Zetz on Instagram, go check my man out. And Oz isn't here, but Oz is my kettlebell coach. And when I started, I'll just say this as a recommendation. If you're going to start a new yoga, if you're going to do kettlebells, if you're going to do free weights, if you're going to do some sort of movement, I would suggest getting someone to coach you through it in the beginning. This is actually an interesting point. For example, when I started using kettlebells, I hired somebody who was the highest end person I could find in San Diego, who is expensive, okay? 4 figures expensive. And he came to my house and did a series of trainings to teach me the movements. Now, he's not here every day. I can discipline myself to actually get it done. But the form is actually really important. And so if you're looking to start something, invest in someone to train you a little bit to get you going and to maybe give you a plan and then get it on from there. All right. So thank you, Aubrey. I appreciate it. Today was fun, man. I really enjoyed today's show. I like all the shows, but this was a good one. So Barry says, are your business systems similar or modified for your personal life? All right, cool. Thank you for asking that. And again, this, Barry, I think is where I differ from most productivity time management teachers in a lot of ways. And this is actually one of them. The way that which you run your business and your life are completely different. Like, let me give you an example. I have a wife that I really love, and I have 4 kids that I really love, 14, 13, 11, and 1. The other night, the 1-year-old wasn't feeling very well. Just one of those things. Sometimes 1-year-olds don't feel well. That changed everything, man. It changed the way that we ate our dinner. It changed the way that we did our evening routine. It changed all of my plans for that particular night. Last night, for some reason, my 11-year-old decided to take a bath. And my 11-year-old takes a bath pretty much every other day, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But my 11-year-old decided that on this particular day, the bath was going to be in the bathroom and not in the bathtub, okay? 2 towels and a bath mat and a flood later, we got done mostly cleaning up most of the water. Well, that, affected my day. It actually affected my morning too, okay? So in the business world, I find that I have a lot more control over the moments and minutes of my day, and the personal world, I have to hold with like a little bit of a looser grip, okay? So the first thing I'll tell you, as far as just personal life goes, is hold some of those things with a little bit of a looser grip and maybe give yourself a little bit more freedom to adjust. And you know what? Look at it as an opportunity to learn. I will tell you that if you look at the difficulties in your life as just an opportunity to get better, you'll be able to smile through most of the stuff. And be honest with you, Barry, I wasn't smiling about the whole bath thing. I think I am now, finally, because I get to tell the story on the show. But I'll just tell you, smile through some of that stuff. And the personal stuff, you got to hold, I think, with a little bit of a looser grip. Now, when it comes to your business, like edrush.com company is Ed Rush, right? So I'm the one directing the vision on the business. I'm certainly the one managing the structure of my particular day. But even in my business, Barry, there are things that happen and change. I mean, there's systems that break. Like this little link like that I gave you here, this one right here. Remember the 21 day I told you that one? Delisa, my team member, spent hours yesterday or 2 days ago on with Infusionsoft because their coupon code thing was not working properly. Like there's some things you just can't control. So you got to hold that with a little bit of a loose hand too. But in general, the business, you're able to manage, I think, closer a little bit, that window from 9 to 5, and your personal life a little bit less. Okay, so I do a little bit less of the draconian style, and especially when it gets into the weekends. A lot of the weekends is predicated by what the family's doing. Thank you, Dennis. Awesome comment. Thank you for that, buddy. I appreciate you joining us. Great information from the Court Club family. That's my referees. So I was talking to them yesterday on Zoom. So very good. Diana, thank you for this as well. 50 years ago, I spoke at the first Earth Day in Pershing Square, downtown Los Angeles, about plastic and oil pollution affecting our climate. I really appreciate that, by the way. I will tell you that as a country, this is just my opinion, but just because it's my opinion doesn't mean I'm not right. As a country, I think the environment is massively important. My sense is that the environmentalists, the folks who are focused on climate change, have some great points. But what you just wrote here about oil and plastic and air, I think if we were able to communicate better the fact that the air isn't the quality, the actual things we breathe, the water quality is bad, we'd actually be able to affect change faster. It's actually a focus thing. I've talked a lot about this on the national level. I know this is like a side point, but I think if sometimes we who care about the planet would talk more about the tangible, actual things instead of something that is truly argued in the scientific world, we'd do a lot better. Cool, love it. Robert says, that's awesome. Cool show. Yeah, we had a good time today. One more question. What's up, Josh? Compared to how you get your body, mind ready to start the morning, do you have an example of how you get your body, mind ready to transition from work to family time? Bam. Dude, that is such a great question. And it's interesting. I didn't teach this today. So I'll do the quick version, then we'll wrap up the show. And my quick version is this. What I realized is going from work to business was very challenging. Fundamentally, what I do, Josh, in business is I give advice at this point for a living, you know? And so when you go from work where you're like giving advice all the time into the family world, well, look, your spouse doesn't want your advice all the time. In fact, most of the time, she doesn't or he doesn't, okay? And so moving from that was very difficult. And it was like shifting from fifth gear in a sports car back down to second gear. And most people have to take time to shift from fifth to second gear. So Josh, what I did was I started spending the last 30 minutes of my workday actually just meditating. I would do a meditation, bring my whole self down, and then I would go upstairs back into the office. And again, I teach inside the productivity system some techniques like my 2-door system, some other techniques when it comes to family stuff. But I would do like a 20 or 30-minute meditation, bring myself way down, and then come back to my family fully present and centered. Then all of a sudden I realized, well, wait a second. I know the state before. I know that frenetic sort of high alpha state that I'm working in business. And I also know that very calm state that I am with my family. So if I know state one and I know the second state, I could just easily transition from one to the other. So nowadays, I don't do the meditation because I've already trained myself state one, state two, and I just go whoop right down to this one. Okay. So very cool question. Aubrey asked a question about the mic. Aubrey, in the live streaming, the show that I did, 9 tips for live streaming, I go through all the gear. Okay. edrush.com/gear list will tell you where that is as well. Okay. So cool. Awesome comment. Thank you. You all are amazing. Thank you for your time and your attention today. Tomorrow's show, I'm bringing in Scott Zimmerman. Together, we're going to talk about how to train leaders who will change the world. It's going to be a show about leadership strategies and leadership tips, and you're not going to want to miss it. As usual, tell me in the comments below what your #1 implementation item is from today's show. And then Friday, I should mention this, ask me anything again. We had so much fun last week, I didn't even get through all the questions. All right, so very simply, time to get better, faster, stronger, and smarter so that together we can change the world. My name is Ed Rush. This is EdTalks Live. I will talk to you on tomorrow's episode. Go change the world.